to Scrollin', a podcast about the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm Ket.
I'm Davius.
This is episode number 62.
I'm the dude that chases, 2 miles.
It's hard not to.
2 miles too far, and then I'm like, dang, I got myself killed. Hey, where did you
sometimes.
go? Why aren't you with the team? I chased it.
Sorry. It totally happens, especially if you happen to be playing on a speedy character where it's just kind of easy to do. I mean,
Lord of Nords is my chaser. The leaping, it just, he leaps and just it gets
in trouble.
Gets real trouble real quick.
Yeah. Man, if I'm on a StamSorc, which they're not in trouble if they chase.
Yeah, they're never in trouble. Their chasing could be, you could say, hey, you're chasing, and then 2 seconds later, you'd be like, oh, wait, never mind. I thought you were on the other side of the map, which they were, but you just don't
right
realize.
Behind you.
They're right behind you now. I was like, wait a minute, I thought I saw you. Oh, never mind.
All right. Last time you mentioned your Magicka Dragon Knight, you were a level 15 actively leveling. Yeah. So what are you, like a level 35, 40 by now? That was 2 weeks ago. So what's the...
I am at, drum roll.
Okay. I'm drum rolling.
Level 15. I actually, so...
The active leveling. What are your leveling strats, dude?
Where's your spot, bro? So I have not logged on to the MagDK since we've talked, which there's 2 things going on here. One, I'm completely terrified that when I level this MagDK up, that I'll never play Lord of Nords again. Who's my favorite character? But, if I start playing a MagDK, am I just never going to play a StamDK ever again? Is MagDK... You've terrified me into thinking MagDK is just going to work better than the StamDK.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, honestly, I doubt you have to worry too much about that, because I think as far as just a solo hero type of build where you personally are just trying to get as many kills as you can... I think stamina in general still has an edge over Magicka builds in that regard. I think my StamDK gets more kills than my MagDK, certainly.
It's going to happen for sure. But so secondly, going back to my Magicka Templar here.
Yeah.
What a journey this has been. Bard of Sovngarde. The Bard of Sovngarde. So I came up with the idea to redo the build, and I talked a little bit about it where I was going to kind of make this really unique Magicka Templar. I was going to use the Dark Flare as the spammable. I was going to use the Radiant Oppression as the execute. Wanted to do Soul Assault for my ultimate.
So I notice you're speaking in past tense, so that I'm guessing that's all out the window now.
It's not out the window.
Couldn't get away from jabs, could you?
This is really what I want to talk to you about. First off, let me just say this. The grind to get Soul Assault is, you have to completely finish the main quest. And this is kind of where I'm getting with this. So, on this long grind to get Soul Assault, to make this build work, just doing the quest, I haven't even done Battlegrounds, just doing the quest, I've already switched from Dark Flare to jabs.
Well... in PvE, I think going through PvE areas and stuff, that seems natural. You're going to be able to get through those things easier.
But here's the deal. Let's talk about this for a minute. So, Dark Flare with this build in my setup is 11,500 damage. That's the tooltip. So I threw jabs on there just to see. The jabs tooltip is 15k. I'm going from 11.5 to 15k, and it's an AoE. And it heals me. It doesn't do, the Empower or the Major Defile, but... And
it also will proc, guaranteed to proc the Burning Light passive, so it's more like passive, 20k.
I mean, this is kind of one of the things I want to talk to you about. Can you just not choose jabs on a Templar? Is that just what I need to realize? Is for players out there, if you have a Templar, do you just have to do jabs?
Well, the Templars that I see using Dark Flare, I do see some out there, but... they seem to be primarily support focused, and they're hanging back with the team, and that's just kind of a way that they're providing support. They're throwing in some additional damage and debuffing people with that Defile. With that,
yeah,
that's how I've seen it used. So I think if you really wanted to use that particular ability, I think that might be kind of the play style you'd go for.
And it's not about damage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like supplemental damage and debuffing is kind of what your goal would be.
When I really kind of looked at it and did the research behind it and compared the number stuff, it's just crazy to me how elite Jabs is. We always joke that Jabs is one of the best spammables in the game, but man.
Oh, it's the best spammable
in the game. Best spammable in the game. That's kind of where it started. So I switched to Jabs, and I was kind of like, all right, this is kind of changing the idea of the character. Then next thing I know is that I'm getting rid of Radiant Oppression. I'm like, all right, I'm going to drop this for Purifying Light.
Okay. Yep.
That beam, man, it locks you down into place. You're kind of locked down. There's a line of sight to it. Power of the Light, you just throw it on there and then you're done. Don't even worry about it.
So you're just turning back into a normal Templar, basically.
So essentially, next thing you know, I drop Rune Focus for Mighty Chudan, and then I drop Soul Assault. Now I'm to the point where I'm like about to finish the main quest, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll just stick with Eye of the Storm. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, I did this whole main quest, which, like I said, it's a great main quest, but I've done it quite a few times, so it was a little bit of a grind. And I'm sitting here thinking, I did this whole main quest just to return the build back to the way that it was.
Like in the process of trying to get this ultimate, you learned that you don't actually want it
that
anymore.
I don't want any of it. Just drop it all. Just get rid of it all.
If you think it's like a good idea for a PvP build, I think you really ought to try it against some actual players before really making some.
I will.
Some hard decisions
I will
about
at least give it that. But just looking at the tooltips, like I already see the writing on the wall. It's
tough not to pick those bread and butter abilities because they're so good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why they're popular.
I remember saying when you were talking about this dude last time, I was like, I'm curious to see if you're going to keep Mighty Chudan. I'm pretty sure I said those exact words.
So, needless to say, the biggest change to this character, which has taken me forever to grind out, is that I just changed a couple armor sets. Is what happened.
Nice.
Dropped Clever Alchemist, and I do like the Vadishra and Destro.
You're doing War Maiden in place of Clever Alchemist.
War Maiden, Vadishra and Destro. I will end up having to throw, because I said I took Mighty Chudan off, but I haven't really found a monster set replacement that I love.
I do a One Piece and Wild Hunt, man. Feels so good on a MagPlar.
You know what? That's actually, I'm glad you said that, because that's another change I forgot to mention. I took Malakath off and put Wild Hunt on. So
okay.
It's literally coming back. So I already had the spot for Wild Hunt, but I still, the way the setup I have is that I have 5 War Maiden armor pieces, and then the jewelry I have 2 willpower, and then I had Malakath. I've already switched it out for Wild Hunt. All in all, what it's really done is that it's probably going to lead me to leveling up my Mag DK.
Yes,
because that's the one that I'll probably be a little bit more creative with. The
double
Magic
Mag DKs
Templar
will be a really good time.
Ooh, that would be a lot of fun. The Magic Templar in a BG world, you're just, I hate to say it, you're just a little limited to what you can do and still be,
if you want to be like really offensively focused, I would say your options are limited. If you're willing to be more support leaning, then I think you do have a lot of options then.
So yeah, that's the quest of my Mag DK leading to my Magic Templar, which in turn is probably going to lead back to me leveling the Mag DK.
I'm looking forward to that. I think you're right that you're very much going to enjoy a Magic Dragon Knight. I don't think you need to worry about it taking the place of your Stam DK. I honestly think you will get more kills, like better kill death ratios with your Stam DK still.
Sure.
But you'll have so much fun with a Mag DK, especially like we always talk about, by virtue of being a Magicka character. It'll be able to provide some team support as well, and you can build them a number of ways. I'm curious to see kind of how you end up setting them up, like which morphs you choose and that kind of stuff.
That's the exciting part, I think, is that, kind of like I was talking about with this Magic Templar, is that I think the Mag DK is going to be what allows the creative build that I was kind of trying to do with this Magic Templar. And Magic Templar, great class, but I think that from what I can tell so far, the Magic DK is going to allow a little bit more creativity with the build.
Yeah. There's a lot of flexibility with DKs. That's partly what's so fun about them, because I play mine basically as like a high speed ganker. But like we talked about last time, there's also the old school battle of attrition style brawly kind. That's super fun if you can pull it off, but I think it's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of hard to pull off that sort of play style. But the people that are good at it, it seems like a really good time.
Yeah, that's really cool. I got to name drop my Magicka DK just in case, I haven't dropped him. It's the Bald Scald.
Bald Scald, great name.
Love it.
What's his hairstyle like?
He is actually a bald man.
Oh, interesting. Surprising.
I actually love the look I have on him. I have the it's that kind of like lava scaly skin type that they have.
Oh yeah,
which is just perfect for a Mag DK, right? Like, so he's bald, got a beard, he's a Nord, in case people were wondering.
I want to back up a little bit and just talk a little bit about Battlegrounds in general. And I have some builds and stuff I want to talk about too, and I think you have another one as well.
Sure.
But I kind of want to back up and just talk about the fact that we've had 2 weeks now, a little over 2 weeks of deathmatch only in Battlegrounds, which has been a pretty interesting time. Have you had a chance to play any BGs in the last couple of weeks?
I have. Not a whole lot. I would compare the deathmatch only queue right now to, do you remember like that zebra gum when we were
Yes.
children where like you were so hyped and pumped to get it and the flavor lasted approximately...
Was it called like fruit stripe gum or something like that?
The flavor lasted approximately 2 seconds.
0 time.
Just
before it, like by the time you took it out of the wrapper, it's done.
The flavor was over. It's gone. You just got to like sniff and like smell the flavor and it was over.
Yeah.
That to me is kind of what this deathmatch has become. Like, I was so hyped and pumped for deathmatch only, and then it's like after I did kind of several deathmatches, I kind of was harshly reminded, like, I don't really love the BG situation right now with the sets and Dark Convergence and
it's really just Dark Convergence now.
A little bit of Dark Convergence and then some other Dark Convergence and then a little bit of Dark Convergence on the side.
It's so telling how they've fixed everything that was wrong with the meta except this one set, which the fix is coming for that later, but it hasn't happened yet. But it's still like that one set is just ruining everything.
Yeah, it's just kind of naturally made me hold back. I was so excited about Deathmatch, and then it just kind of, as I played them, I was just kind of like, well, it's, I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm super pumped when that Dark Convergence nerf comes, but...
I think most of the time, most of your play time in the last couple of weeks have been like us grouping up together in a duo and joining up in the group queue.
Yep.
And I will tell you that the solo queue is a bit different experience.
That's true. I've not done the solo queue. I've only done the group queue with us, so...
It seems like a lot of the players in the solo queue have kind of moved on from Dark Convergence. They've kind of had their fun, they've had their fill, and they're just kind of trying to have some good PvP, is what it seems like to me. Whereas you get into the group queue, and it's just, these people are just trying to win the match, So I will say that a lot of people are kind of moving on from this toxic meta, just choosing to use different stuff. You see that quite a bit in the solo queue. Hrothgar's Chill has disappeared.
It's gone.
Like it was nerfed. They might have fixed it a little too good, I think. Like
I'm okay with that, actually, with how much I hated this set.
Yeah, I don't know if I hated this one as much as Dark Convergence, but it was annoying. I think they still need to do some other stuff to Hrothgar's Chill to make it like, because now it's not even, I don't think it's even an attractive set at all now, where it was overpowered before. But the nerf was indeed left out of the maintenance notes unintentionally. It was an accident. It was just some sort of miscommunication. Gina did post the actual notes in a forum thread. Basically just confirms all the things that you can just read in the game about the set. It deals 13% of your total resistances, and it ignores your resistance when it deals that damage. They fixed an issue where it was ignoring Battle Spirit. So there's the mystery damage that everyone was like, this is hitting for way more than the math says that it should be able to. But that's the reason. It was basically hitting for double what it should be able to in PvP. So I thought we could do a little bit of quick math with the new version of Hrothgar's Chill. Let's suppose it procs on your tankiest teammate. Let's say they have 33k physical and spell resistance. So you combine those together, and that's 66k. And that's probably the most resistance that you'll generally see on players, right?
That's your
like
tanky
33k is 33k is effectively the resistance cap. Very few players go above that. So this is basically like the worst case scenario for Hrothgar's Chill. It's going to proc on your tankiest teammate with 66k total combined resistances. 13% of that 66k is 8580. So that's what Hrothgar's Chill would hit for if it wasn't for Battle Spirit. Battle Spirit cuts that in half, so it's going to hit for 4290. And that does ignore your resistance, so that's actually how much it actually will hit you for, unless you have like major protection, minor protection, something like that. But still, I think it has a 7-second cooldown, 4290 every 7 seconds. Not concerned about that, really.
I'm okay with it. I mean, it went from... For a while there, Hrothgar's Chill was like, when you're in a battleground, you're just hoping, like, well, I hope it doesn't go off because it's going to instantly kill me. Like, you're just hoping against it.
That was largely due to that bug where it was ignoring Battle Spirit. My issue here is that, believe me, I'm super glad it was nerfed. But my issue here is this is the, like, if you're someone who's using Hrothgar's Chill, this is the best case scenario. You're hitting the tankiest player on the battlefield, and it still hits for a piddly amount of damage. You know, I think at least if you're hitting like a really tanky player, it should do some kind of threatening sort of damage, but I don't know. Honestly, I think the fix here, that's the thing though, is actually I'm kind of changing my mind now, because you don't want someone to be able to deal lots of damage if they themselves aren't investing into offensive
That's what I was
stats.
just about to say. That's the weird thing about this set, is that it, all these other proc sets, if you ramp your damage up, then you get rewarded. This set, it just is what it is. You don't have to have damage. And so it's such a weird set.
It seems like they should just change, like plain and simple, just change the damage to scale off of your offensive stats, like all the rest of the proc sets.
I would be okay with that.
And just balance it accordingly, like all the others.
And I think players would be okay with that, because it, the real popular thing for this, there's been like I feel like for a while now, there's been a lot of players that kind of want to make this Frost Mage, Frost Caster type of build. And so that was like a lot of hype behind this. It's kind of this Frost idea, and it fed into that. Just make it off your offensive stats, and then you still can have that. Yeah. I think a lot of players
can still have the same proc condition and all of that.
And then it's balanced along with other sets. It's not this weird, quirky side thing.
You can get a lot of damage out of it, but at the expense of, you having to make sacrifices in your build to get that damage. And this should just be, I think they overthought this, like it was a neat idea, like, oh, it scales off of your enemy's resistance. How interesting, how unique. But in practice, we see that's not at all what we want. We needed to just scale off of offensive stats like all the other damaging sets. I want to talk about my Magicka Necromancer, and we're both kind of working on our MagCros, and they're both support builds. My Magicka Necromancer is named Despair, and I'm actually starting to get a little bit hyped about this character. Still, I think MagCro is still the superior support class, still over Magicka Warden. I've kind of been bouncing back and forth between the two just to kind of compare their effectiveness in the current meta. MagCro is still superior, and I'm even just using kind of a temporary thrown together build right now on my MagCro, and I still say that she's way more successful than my Magden at just carrying teams to victory, basically.
Just more of an impact.
Yeah, my Magden is an excellent healer. Not saying anything about her, but she just needs to be on a team of competent players, whereas my MagCro, competent, not competent, just jump aboard, choo-choo.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Her kind of temporary build, but honestly, I would totally just straight up recommend this to anyone. It's been working really well for me. It's 5 Heartland Conqueror, crafted in light, 2 Earthgore, 2 Trainee, Malakath, the Master Froststaff on the front bar, and the Maelstrom Resto on the back bar. And the front bar weapon, the Master Froststaff right now is Nirnhoned, and the back bar is powered for extra healing power. I like Nirnhoned on the front bar. I'm probably going to change that next patch, but right now I do like Nirnhoned because it gives me some good firepower on my front bar, and it also will affect my hots. Like I cast my hots on my back bar, and then I bar swap, so they're not getting that powered trait anymore while I'm on my front bar, but at least Nirnhoned is giving them some extra spell damage to bump them up a little bit, even so.
Okay.
Plus giving me that extra firepower too.
Yeah.
The Master Staff, I learned, I just was reading the description a little more closely than usual, and I learned that the Master Destro Staff procs after activating Destructive Touch. Not after dealing damage, but just after you activate the ability, you get that 600 spell damage. So that's pretty nice, because people often dodge that ability anyway, but it doesn't matter if you miss them, you still get the damage buff.
That's a pretty unique proc condition.
Yeah, for the longest time, like I've been wasting magicka because I've just been assuming I need to hit somebody in order for this to activate, and so I'll just keep spamming it if they're dodging it, until I hit them, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that's kind of the temporary setup. It's working pretty good, but what's getting me hyped about this character is the possibilities coming up this next patch, and I have a really good idea of what the build's going to be. I kind of have to figure a couple of things out. I'm keeping Heartland Conqueror, but I'm going to get rid of the Trainee and Malakath and the Master Frost Staff, and I'm going to replace all of that with that new Kin Marcher's Cruelty set that we talked about on the last episode. That's the one that's like the opposite of Daedric Trickery, and it gives your enemies like a random major debuff every, I think, 8 seconds. And like the way the cooldowns and durations work, you can have 2 major debuffs active at a time on your enemies. This is the set I've been waiting for this character.
Awesome. It's going to be True Despair. I mean, to the namesake.
Yeah, this is going to be actually the conception that I've always had for this build, but I've never been able to put it together because the sets and stuff just haven't existed until now. I have to use the Maelstrom Resto Staff on the back bar. There's just no option in my mind for this character. So I got to have a front bar only set that makes sense for the build that I'm trying to make. And there just aren't any good debuff sets in the game that will work as a front bar only set. They all require you to like take damage or block damage or something like that. This one, Kin Marcher, procs from dealing direct damage. It's a guaranteed proc. It affects everyone in my radius. So it's just really easy to proc, really easy to apply to everyone. You can use it as a front bar only set, and you don't lose out on anything when you bar swap. So it's just perfect. It's perfect for that. The random debuffs, they're all major debuffs, and they're all useful, right? It doesn't matter which one you get, you're going to be weakening your enemy in one way or another. And like I said, you're going to have 2 at a time active most of the time.
Well, this new Kin Marcher set, along with this new charged trait buff, is really just, I mean, it's all about despair coming up here. It's going to be the despair show.
Yes, I think I think this build is going to be really, really good. And you brought up my next point. This new charge trait, actually, the new charge trait along with Heartland Conqueror is the real kind of combo there, because as we talked about on the last episode, the charged weapon trait is being more than doubled. It's like 480% increased chance to increase status to apply status effects, and then Heartland Conqueror is going to double that, right? So it's basically like a 1,000% increase. It's almost a 1,000% increased chance to apply status effects, and on this build, on my front bar, I have all 3 elemental damage types on my front bar. I have fire damage from Blast Bones, I have frost damage from the Wall of Frost, and I'm using the tether ability, the tether ability that deals lightning damage. And I'm basically guaranteed to be applying those status effects all the time because of the charge trait and Heartland Conqueror.
1,000%. I don't think I've ever seen 1,000% used actually 1,000%, not an exaggeration, an actual 1,000%.
Literally, I'm not joking. It's like almost that much. But even just those elemental damage types, they each have their associated status effects that they can apply, and they themselves are really powerful. Shock damage applies minor vulnerability. When you apply the chilled status effect with Wall of Frost, they're going to get minor maim, so they're not going to be dealing as much damage. And because of your Destro Staff passives, they also get minor brittle, so they take additional critical damage. And so you have 2 things that are making them take additional damage now. And then, fire damage, that'll just give them a dot, basically. But still, that's a debuff too. On top of what Kin Marcher is giving me all these major debuffs on top of all of that, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to be the thing like in cartoons, like walking through a field of daisies and they're all like wilting and dying as I get close. It's perfect. This is always what I've wanted this character to be.
It's going to be the real dream to duo this character with Davius. Like all of the team buffs along with all of the enemy debuffs. Like
that would be funny. That would be great. We got to try that.
Oh, we got to make that happen in the future.
You're making our team as strong as they can be, and I'm weakening the enemies as much as I can.
Just give us two bodies. It's gonna work out, everybody. Don't worry.
We need like 2 like monsters on our team. They can just rack up kills.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, I'm getting pretty psyched about my MagCro. Getting a little kind of bummed about my Magden, but I think that's just because, like I was saying, my Magden I think is good. She just has to be like on a pre-made, where everyone's just kind of on top of things.
Yeah.
That's great. It's just since I've made this character, I've wanted her to be this way, and it's just the stuff hasn't existed until now, so it's going to be awesome. So what's going on with your MagCro, the never-ending Nord?
The never-ending Nord. What am I?
I haven't heard from this guy in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So MagCro. We're gonna talk. It's a lot of Necro. We're gonna talk a lot of a Necromancer here going on, but
yeah.
We were talking about this. We were doing some DQs, and we were kind of making a joke about the current state of Battlegrounds right now. We kind of made a joke where there's like, it's not really a safe place right now for like experimenting and like testing. It's kind of like you have kind of these characters you feel safe with, and so it's like, I'll just play with the ones that I feel safe with. Kind of the current situation.
Totally.
The Never-Ending Nord is definitely a character you can feel safe with. This guy's number one goal is just to not die. That's just what it's about. It's just he's never ending. Just a reminder of the build. He's 5-piece Beekeeper, 5-piece Willow's Path. I always like to really focus that one because I might be the only person in the server wearing that set.
Not a lot of people rocking Willow's Path these days, that's for sure.
The Gaze of Sithis for the Mythic, and then 1-piece Trainee. What I want to do is I just kind of want to run down some stats with this character. So in a BG with Battle Spirit, it's 3250 health recovery, 40,000 health, 30,000 magicka, 20,000 stamina. So
some good stats.
Just the greatest stats. With that kind of health recovery, throwing out heals, throwing out blast bones, things like that. The damage, really the focus with the character is really to be support. Just kind of focus support, throw blast bones every now and then, things like that. And really just kind of do the debuffs. It's got a front bar frost staff, so, kind of do the slowed, get everybody chill, get everybody slowed down. And then, if there's situations where it's a good spot for damage, I have the Goliath ultimate. When this character's in the Goliath morph, he has 75,000 health, which causes that Goliath. I have the morph that deals like the AoE damage. So it's 4,500 damage per second when he's in that morph. So if the situation comes up where he needs to turn on the damage, I can pop that morph, and I think we've joked about this in the past, but it's funny to kind of see people be like, oh, what the heck just happened? Why am I taking so much damage all of a sudden?
And a lot of people are not aware that is dealing damage, and so they don't know where it's coming from. And you can still like focus support while your offensive teammates are kind of benefiting from that extra damage.
Oh yeah, it's just kind of added pressure, and I'm still throwing the heals out there. This character, he's definitely on my safe list for Battlegrounds right now.
MagCro always feels comfortable, I think, in like every meta.
I hadn't really played with him in a while, but I kind of started playing with him a little bit more here recently, and I kind of was like, oh yeah, this guy will be just fine, regardless how dangerous the Battlegrounds are right now.
I feel like I can just like camp out in that Wall of Frost remote totem little nightmare house you can build with those two things. I just feel like I'm untouchable as long as I have those abilities slotted. Oh yeah, and the intensive mender, of course.
I've been pretty happy with him. It's kind of a weird build, It's funny because I always When I'm on other characters, I always joke about and complain in Battlegrounds about how some tanky Necro goes into Goliath form, and it's like, you can't kill these guys. And then I'll go and hop on the Never-Ending Nord, and he's very much the...
That's what he is.
That's exactly what he is. So,
Yeah.
He just kind of gets to be a target dummy in BGs. People just kind of beat on him a bit, and that health recovery is still massive. And the 3250 health recovery in the current BG is just kind of an insane amount after they already after they did the nerf. That's
a lot. Like I've said before, like if I only have like 1,000 health recovery, that feels like a lot to me, and I can definitely tell that I have it. So having over 3,000, I'm sure
he's in a good spot. He heals up real quick.
Man, I want to go back to that intensive mender, man. If anyone is playing a MagCro in a BG, you got to use the intensive mender.
You got to go intensive mender. It's
a shorter duration, but it's also half the cost of the other morph, so you're actually not spending any more magicka to keep it active. Mine has an 11k tooltip. Every 2 seconds, automatic 11k to anyone who needs it. I can just walk around blindfolded, and anyone on my team who needs a heal, they're going to get an 11k. Boom, boom, boom. And then if I'm actually focus healing someone with my burst heal, that has a 15k tooltip, and if I'm stacking that with my intensive mender, well, we're healing for like 27k right there. Plus, if I have a regeneration tick on them, we're like close to 30k in a single cooldown. Of course, there's battle spirit reduces all of that, of course,
sure.
But just going off of tooltips, it's a ton.
That heal doesn't count towards your total heals, but it is a massive heal. You may see a MagCro support that has real low healing numbers, but if you've got intensive mender, you might as well double those healing numbers. Yeah.
Well, and I've always thought of MagCro like the main thing that they're really bringing to the table is like oppressive crowd control. And then if we have like insanely strong heals at the same time, then all the better. But I think that's really at the end of the day, because my Magden has crazy strong heals, but what makes my MagCro superior is the amazing crowd control and like zoning potential. You can just claim an area or you can just like totally block people from entering a certain spot, and kind of protect your team in that way. You get clever with where to place those things, and you can really do a lot with that. So I've been having a lot of fun. We've been having a lot of fun with our MagCros, but I think next patch they're going to be in even better shape. More Necromancer talk.
All about the crows tonight.
Yeah. I've been playing quite a bit with my Stamina Necromancer, Bobby Bobango, the Bow Crow. I think every time I talk about this guy, he has a totally different gear setup. And today is no different. So he's a bow build, first of all. If I'm kind of wanting to play an offensive character, this is the guy that I go to because he's really my only like really good ranged character, and I feel like if that's what I'm going for is to get kills, and that's the kind of character I'm playing, ranged characters are the only ones that can even really do anything at all in BGs right now. The last time I talked about him, I had gone back to a proc based setup, but now I've gone back to a more stat based setup, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit this is my third character now that I have Bone Pirate equipped on as his 5-piece set that's active on both bars. And I just can't get away from Bone Pirate. It's just like the perfect set for me. For how I play stamina builds, Bone Pirate is just the way to go. It's the only thing that gives me all the stats and all the sustain that I need to have that like really high energy, fast paced play style and that sort of mobility based defense. You chug through the stamina when you play that way, and there's no comparison to Bone Pirate, I don't think, that gives me all of that. My front bar only set, kind of equally, I'm kind of equally ashamed of this one. 5 pieces Spriggan with a sharpened bow on the front bar. So Bone Pirate Spriggan, this is like a beginner build, Like this is like if someone's like wanting to make their first stamina PvP character, this is exactly what I tell them to get.
2018 called, and once it's build back.
This is totally what I would recommend to a new player. I'd be like, start with this basic setup, Bone Pirate and Spriggan, and then go from there if you want to branch out from there.
I think it might be easier at this point. Just let's talk about your characters that aren't wearing Bone Pirate and Spriggan.
There aren't any. It's
not any left.
For a medium armor build with a bow, it's just tough to pass up that setup. I'm getting sick of procs. I want stat-based sets or stat-based builds.
Yeah.
Spriggan is still the king of front bar only sets. I could use something else if I wanted to, but it would be less damage, and it would only be because of my own stubbornness of not wanting to use the same set over and over again. Otherwise, it's the best option, plain and simple.
Yep.
As far as how I want to play. So 5 Bone Pirate, 5 Spriggan. Spriggan is a front bar only set with a sharpened bow. I have a Potentate's two-hander on the back bar with a powered trait, Ring of the Wild Hunt, and one-piece Krog. So last time I talked about this dude, he was using Malakath. I've switched to Wild Hunt now. Definitely the right move. I should have done it a long time ago. It helps so much. This dude's defense is range and mobility, and Wild Hunt, it actually helps my sustain quite a bit because I'm not sprinting nearly as often because I just kind of have the speed I need already. And I've found that I'm not really noticing a damage loss from not having Malakath. In fact, sometimes it seems like I have more damage because now I have crit. I have about 30% crit rate on this dude. And when I get those crit spikes, when I get lucky and say like a Blast Bones and my Spammable and Light Attack Weave, all 3 crit at the same time, in that moment, it's way more damage than what Malakath would be giving me. Even though like Malakath would give me more like average DPS overall, but crit will actually give you those spikes that can really take someone down when you get lucky. So I really haven't noticed. I feel like I haven't really lost damage, and in fact, like I said, in some situations, in a lot of situations, I've actually gained damage, and I've gained this mobility, better survivability, better sustain because of Wild Hunt. So that was a great move. This is like a really basic meat and potatoes build, but I think this is probably going to be locked in for a while. I really enjoy it. I really like that I'm not relying on any cheese. There's no procs. It's just some good stats, some good offensive stats, and me knowing how to play this character, and that's what's making me successful. I want to talk a little bit more in depth about this dude, because I've just been having so much fun with him, and I've been kind of, I don't know, really getting to know what he's capable of and just kind of getting into these details. I want to talk a little bit about his offensive strategy, and this can really apply, if you're not playing on a MagCro, you're playing on some different builds, this can really apply, these strategies can really more or less apply to just about any build, kind of the principles involved here. So he basically has 3 different combos that he uses depending on what kind of enemy I'm up against. The first combo I call the quick and easy combo. And that's the one I would say like 75% of players that I come up against, this combo will work just fine. What it is, of course, you're always light attack weaving, never not light attack weaving all the time. Then open up with poison injection, summon a Blast Bones, stun them with Magnum Shot, and then spam your spammable until Blast Bones lands. I use the Poison Skull spammable. Yep. So yeah, really easy. Just summon Blast Bones, stun them with Magnum Shot, spam your spammable, and always just start with Poison Injection just to get that ticking away. I use the Ballista ultimate, the bow ultimate that places a turret on the ground. If that's ready, the best place to cast that is right after summoning Blast Bones, but right before stunning them with Magnum Shot. Right, so you do your Blast Bones, Ballista, then stun them, and then when they're trying to pick themselves up off the ground, that Ballista is just ticking away, So you're kind of guaranteeing that they're going to take a few hits of that at least, and then by the time they stand up, that's right when Blast Bones is hitting, along with your spammables and everything else. So that alone is a pretty good amount of damage, and like I said, for most targets, it works just fine. The second combo is for when you need a little bit more finesse. If you're up against someone who is a little bit better player, they're a little bit harder to kill, you need to kind of work through their stamina bar a little bit before you can really lay some damage into them. This is how I do it for them. Open with Poison Injection, like always. And then I immobilize them with Bombard, the bow ability Bombard. Immobilize them with that, summon a Blast Bones, and then what's going to happen is, almost guaranteed, they're going to roll dodge out of that immobilization. So what I do, after I immobilize them, summon Blast Bones, then I start charging up a heavy attack, waiting for them to complete that roll dodge. And then as soon as it's done, I'll release that heavy attack and weave it straight into a magnum shot to stun them. And then I spam my spammable until Blast Bones lands. So they just wasted stamina dodging out of that immobilization. They're going to have to waste more stamina breaking out of the stun from magnum shot. And, depending on how much stamina they had to begin with, now they might not be able to block the incoming damage that's coming at them. Right? So that's kind of a way of like using soft CC and hard CC to chew through their stamina bar to get through those defenses so they'll actually take the damage you're throwing at them. So that's the finesse combo. That works. So the quick and easy will get you like 75% of your kills. Finesse, let's say it's another, 15%. So the last like 10% of players, the really good players that are really tough to kill and that have a very high likelihood of killing you, you really kind of have to be on your toes. You really have to make sure that they're not getting in melee range because you're defenseless basically in melee range. Your whole defense is mobility and distance. So this combo, it's really more like a rotation. It's for like a long, drawn-out 1v1 fight in a battleground against a really good player. It's actually really simple. It's pretty similar to the quick and easy combo. So tag them with poison injection like always, and then the idea is basically each rotation you're alternating between immobilizing them with bombard, and then the next rotation stunning them with magnum shot, and then the next rotation you go back to bombard. So after you get your poison injection on them, you're going to summon your blast bones, immobilize with bombard, and then spam your spammable, and then summon blast bones, stun them with magnum shot, spam your spammable, right? And so it's just blast bones, bombard, spammable, blast bones, magnum shot, spammable. And every other time you just go back and forth between magnum shot and bombard. Okay. And the whole while you're maintaining your distance from that player because that's your defense, right?
Yeah.
And so the purpose of that is bombard immobilizes them. That's a soft CC, and magnum shot stuns them, which is a hard CC, and those are on two separate cooldowns. So as long as you're spacing them out like that, if you're just going back and forth from one rotation to the next, then each time you hit them with that ability, they're off of cooldown for that type of CC. So you're like basically CCing them on cooldown constantly.
Yeah, and that combined with the Wild Hunt ring.
Yeah, exactly. Combined with the Wild Hunt, you're able to keep that distance really easily. You're chewing through their stamina. They're having to use stamina to deal with all that CC, and the damage is coming at them nonstop the entire time as well. So you're on defense and offense simultaneously. It works really well. I would say a lot of players in that situation will just disengage and like stop trying to chase me, stop trying to pursue me, or I'll just win the fight. And a lot of times if they do try to run away, that's when I can decide, well, maybe I'm just going to go after them now, and just kind of keep play that mag sort game. Range.
So this idea is interesting to me, the three combos. I have a couple questions about this that I'm just curious about. So, BGs, they happen incredibly quick. Like it's just split second decision. It's just quick decision. Is it like, have you noticed any struggles with like picking the right one in the situation? I mean, you kind of explained it with the quick and easies can take care of a lot of them, but have you noticed any issues with kind of like, have you trained yourself to like recognize the situation real quick and then that's how you kind of know which one to choose from? Or
I think just kind of the more you play with a particular build, the more you just kind of are able to make those quick decisions in the moment. It seems like it's so hard to figure out what combo am I going to use right now, but actually when you're in the moment, you actually have more time to figure it out than you think you do.
You just recognize the situation you're in.
Usually I just toss the quick and easy combo at everyone I see and see what happens. And then I just kind of take note of which players it kills and which players it doesn't. And then the next time I come across someone that I wasn't able to kill with that, then I'll try to finesse them a little bit or do that more drawn out rotation. But I usually, every match, unless I see someone that I already know is really good, if I recognize a name or something, I usually just kind of do the quick and easy combo to everyone and just see what sticks. And of course, just like you said, BGs are chaos a lot of the time. So there's plenty of times where I'm not strictly doing one of these combos, and I'm just there's tons of times where I'm just spamming bombard into a group of players and nothing else, So
Sure. I do think that's really cool, though. I mean, it's a very diversified attack for a character. You know, a lot of builds don't have that, you know, amount of options on how to take down a character. I think that's really, really cool about this StamCro build, is that it kind of has these different options compared to, you know, to deal with the type of enemies you're going against. I think that's a really cool kind of next level option this build has.
I like it. He's really perfect. He kind of has everything that a self-sufficient build could need. And you know, you might wonder, like, well, if the finesse combo is more effective, why not just use that against everyone? And the answer is it just takes longer, you know, and I could be racking up more kills with the quick and easy combo. Yeah. So I don't want to use those longer combos unless I really need to.
You really need old Bobby Bobango. You really need to just throw a picture of him, just a screenshot in the Discord sometime, just so people can recognize this little gremlin of a StamCro. I
made a video for him, although the build in that video is no longer relevant. But you can see him on, if you go to my YouTube, just search for Cat Sparrowhawk. I'm pretty sure it's the last video I made because I stopped making videos.
A little gremlin Bobby Bobango.
He's got a great look. He's got a really great look.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I would try to describe it, but there's no way. You just have to see it. With Halloween coming up too, he's just like just right for Halloween.
This is his season.
Yeah. I want to mention Betsy really quick. Not that I'm really going to talk about her build, but last time I mentioned that with Deadly Strikes getting nerfed, it's going to be buffing your damage by 15% now instead of 18%. And I said, I'm going to do some comparisons with Spriggan, and if Spriggan is better, then this is going to be yet another character that's using Spriggan, and she already uses Bone Pirate.
Yeah, what's the two sets you'll be using on this set now?
So that would be Bone Pirate and Spriggan, just like Bobby.
Spriggan, interesting.
I did log on to PTS and do a little bit of comparing between Deadly Strikes and Spriggan. The damage is indeed very close. Very similar damage. Deadly Strikes is slightly more. It's very slightly more, but I don't know if it's enough to keep me using it. I might end up switching to Spriggan because the damage is very close, but the 2, 3, 4-piece bonuses, like I've said before, are just so much better. And that's kind of Betsy, my StamPlar. That's kind of her one weak point, and her build is her max stats are not in the best spot. And I've always wished that was a little bit better.
Yeah, that's kind of the struggle with Deadly Strikes, is it's always been this great set for damage, but now that they're nerfing the damage, I mean, there's just really no way around it. The 2 through 4 on Deadly Strikes is just not great. It's a rough 2 through 4.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you need in your build. I mean, those can be good stats, but just for what I value in my builds, you know, I'd rather have more max stats and that sort of thing.
If you're going to put Deadly Strikes on a build, you better make sure you're getting a lot of max stats elsewhere, because it's just not giving you anything.
Yeah, that's why I've always used it with Bone Pirate, because Bone Pirate gives me kind of that surplus of stats that gets me just to the point where I feel like I can play the build and not die all the time. So anyway, I think I'm going to wait for the patch to go live and do some more extensive testing before I really make a concrete decision. But I think there's a very strong chance that I'll end up switching to Spriggan, and she'll basically be the same gear-wise. She'll be the same build as Bobby with Bone Pirate and Spriggan, and then she'll have a Master Bow in the back bar. Ring of the Wild Hunt. Anyway, it's a bummer to see that deadly nerf, but also I don't want to see MagPlars with Deadly Strikes either, so whatever. That's our builds. Those are the builds we've been playing with. I don't know if listeners, if you have any build ideas or questions about builds, you can email us at scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your ideas.
For sure.
Who knows, maybe we'll talk about it on the show. What do you say we talk about the public test server? Have you heard of this thing?
PTS. Little Natch Boats.
Little Natch Boats. PTS version 7.2.1. That was week 2, which was last week. Usually week 2 is totally dead, but this go around, we actually have some stuff on week 2, a few things.
ZOS keeps us guessing. They like to keep us on our toes.
Yep, you never quite know. The Belharza's Band, new mythic item. This one, as a reminder, that's the one that gives you 1185 light attack damage. Then you do the consecutive melee light attacks to get these stacks, and then you do a heavy attack to consume the stacks, and it does this like straight line damage. You know, we kind of dumped on it a little bit. We weren't huge fans. I'm still not a huge fan, but it is better. Now it will automatically fire when you reach those 5 stacks. It just fires right away, so you don't have to do the heavy attack to do that. And they've increased the damage that it deals by about 14%. And now it has a 4-second cooldown instead of a 10-second cooldown. So absolutely a buff. It definitely is more enticing. But you still have to do these 5 consecutive melee light attacks. And like I said last time, that means you can't be weaving it with other abilities. And man, I just don't want to play like that.
Well, and it still shoots it in a straight line, right? I mean,
straight line after a 1-second delay.
All this stuff. It's just funny to me because, you know, they made a note saying that they're reducing the light attack damage. That bonus is going to 900 down from 1185. And then there's the developer note that they don't want the passive light attack damage to be the focus. That developer note just cracked me up because it's like, it's so funny to me they say that because it's just like, you know, they're like, we don't want that to be the focus of the set. Then it's just like, well, then make it better, right? make the item better. Like, instead they nerfed the one part people liked about it. And it's like, no, Zos, come on. Like, just make the set better if you don't want that to be the focus.
Yeah, they said that they were noticing that all the like people talking about this set and stuff, that's the thing that they're excited about. So they're like, oh, well, then you can't have that.
Yeah. You don't want that to be why you get the set.
In fairness to what you were saying, this is their attempt to make it better.
Yes, that's true.
But it's just not, they didn't do a good enough job, I don't think.
No. Yeah. I think now their changes have only made, all they've accomplished with these changes is to have less people use the set. Or use the piece. The 5 consecutive melee light attacks is what kills it for me. Like, even if it didn't have that melee requirement, at least then, like a Magsork using Overload might use this, because that's like you do nothing but light attacks basically. It'd be a great combo.
You know? Yeah, that would work.
That cracked me up. Hey, we don't want you guys to use it for that. Use it for this. Well,
how are you feeling about this Spalder of Ruin change? So this is the one that's the teabag set that we talked about last time. You do a teabag, and then it activates this aura that gives your teammates a bunch of extra damage, but then it reduces your own damage per teammate that it's affecting. Well, now it doesn't reduce your damage anymore. Instead, it's gonna reduce your health, magicka, and stamina recovery by 70 for each ally that it's affecting. So you keep your damage, but you lose recovery. How are you feeling about that, Davius?
So this is kind of interesting. I'll start off with saying I'm still going to use this set. I still plan to put it on Davius. It is a bit of a nerf, in my opinion, at least for me, just because I think it's a bit of a nerf, but I do think that I can overcome this recovery, just because Davius's build, you know, when you're not doing anything for damage, you're only focused on heals, you know, I kind of have extra focus on the things I need. So I think I can overcome this because, you know, worst case scenario, it's, you know, 280 minus 280 to your recovery, which is pretty, you know, it's a pretty good chunk. It's
a fair amount. It's like an infused jewelry glyph.
Right.
A little bit more.
So I do think that I can overcome it, but it is slightly a nerf. But at the same time, with this change, now I don't have to worry about my heals kind of taking a nerf. You know, my heals are still going to hit decently hard. So for my personal situation, I'm still going to use it. I think it'll be okay. I think Davius can overcome that recovery.
Have to do some more heavy attacks here and there.
Yeah. However, I do think that this change is probably going to cause players to step away from this more. I think it's going to be slightly less used now.
Yeah, it seems like it'll be like more difficult to use now.
Yeah. I do think it is going to be kind of an issue for other players. My specific build, it'll still work out really well. My heals will still be really good, but
do you have the Maelstrom Resto on that dude?
Yes.
Okay, that'll help you out quite a bit.
Yeah. So I kind of look as the Maelstrom Resto is probably going to kind of cancel this out for me. The stamina recovery is going to hurt and the health recovery is going to hurt a little bit, but he's only focused on heals. He'll keep himself healed up, and he does have the Templar ability where I can do the I call it the body absorb.
Oh, repentance.
The correct term is repentance. That, me personally, makes up for my stamina recovery. I'm already doing a whole bunch of heals, so the health recovery is okay. But I do think it's going to be a little bit harder for players to use now. It's clearly a support-based type set, and support takes a lot of recovery, and so kind of hurting that, it's going to be a little bit trickier to use, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I had a feeling you were still probably going to use it. Just I feel like it's a type of team buff that you're not going to be able to resist.
Yeah, I can't. Well, it's just it fits so well with the Davius build. I mean, he already. That's his goal right now is to increase the team's weapon and spell damage. That's his number one. Make that buff higher. This is already doing that with a one-piece mythic. That's just perfect for his build.
The only other thing from last week's PTS is they made a small adjustment to Dark Convergence. And remember, we already talked about it's getting nerfed.
Get it out of here.
Week 1, it was already nerfed. It has less damage, a smaller radius, and it pulls once instead of twice. So in addition to that, it now has a new visual effect. They say to help better define its radius and attack sources. And the timing of the detonation. I'm curious to see this. I haven't logged in to see, because right now, Dark Convergence, the animation is basically a reskin of the Templar's Nova Ultimate, right? Yeah. So I wonder if it's like a totally different thing, and it's not that anymore. I honestly hope it's something different, because I'm so tired of seeing that animation at this point. I just would just like to see something new for the few people who will still be using it. And it's a shame. The first few times I saw that animation, I was like, whoa, that looks cool. I really liked it a lot, but now I'm over it. I'm way over it.
It's become the song on the radio that plays in between each other song.
Yeah. So anyway, changing the visuals to kind of help you understand what's happening with that. Basically, it amounts to another nerf as far as I can see, it's helping you counter it better. So that's pretty much all the interesting stuff from last week's PTS. And then week 3 dropped just yesterday. So PTS version 7.2.2. And this is usually the week where things are more or less locked in and you can kind of start farming for your new builds and stuff. But I don't know, with that curveball from last week, I don't know if I should trust the pattern or not this go around.
Week 2 actually ended up being bigger than this last week, which is not usually the case.
Yeah, actually week 2 there were more changes than week 3, and yeah, you're right. It's usually the opposite. But for week 3, a few changes here. The Nightblade's Dark Cloak ability. This is the other morph of the invisibility cloak, right? This is the one that heals you instead of makes you invisible. They've increased the healing from this ability by about 61% per tick, because it's a heal over time, but they reduced the base duration to 3 seconds instead of 6 seconds. So more healing per tick, but shorter duration, half the duration. But then they've increased, so it gives you minor protection. They've increased the minor protection duration to 10 seconds instead of the 6 seconds that it was before.
I'm interested on this. You play Nightblade. You more so do it in a PvE sense. He's kind of your PvE character. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on if you think this is a nerf or a buff.
Yeah, I've thought about it a little bit, and I don't play Nightblade a lot in PvP, and when I do, I generally use the invisibility morph of this ability. So I don't know if I can speak with a lot of authority on this, but I can just kind of give a sense of what I think. It seems like for how I would use this ability, I think I like this better than the old version. It only lasting 3 seconds, but it's a much stronger heal for that duration of time. for a 6-second thing, I feel like what a lot of Nightblades do is they try to keep it active 100% of the time so that hot is always running. And I don't like that at all. For a 6-second duration thing, I don't want to try to keep that active.
That's a lot of upkeep, if you will.
But 3 seconds, no one's even going to try to keep it active at all times for that. You're just going to use it when you need to heal up real quick, and then otherwise you're not going to. And that's much more how like I use Vigor on a stamina character. I'll use it like preemptively when I'm expecting a lot of damage or just to heal up really quick after I take some damage. I think I'll kind of use it like that, or I think I would use it kind of like that in this iteration. And then getting that minor protection, that's perfect because you're casting this thing to heal up really quickly, which is exactly when you're going to need some minor protection, and 10 seconds of that is pretty nice. And I think I would stack this with the rapid regeneration ability from the Resto Staff skill line. That's a really strong heal over time. It's about as strong as Vigor, but it's a Magicka ability. And then that stacked with this, I think you'll basically be unkillable for like 3 seconds.
That 61% seems like that's a pretty massive jump. It seems
it's already a strong hot right now, so that'll be big.
I mean, and that's I mean, like I said, I don't use this ability. I don't play a whole lot of Nightblade, but to me, just reading it and kind of trying to understand it and doing a little bit of research, it seems like a buff. One, just simple from a number standpoint. So they cut the duration by 50%, but they increased the heal per tick by 61%. So that to me tells me already, like, all right, this is going to be a stronger heal than it was. Like,
I think like the total amount of like healing points is less, but you're getting more, like it's a more potent heal.
Yeah, and kind of like you said, in a PvP situation, I kind of like the burstier heal.
Me too.
Situation for sure, because it can get you. You can step out for a second and then get right back into the fight quicker.
Yeah, kind of heal up quicker and get back in there. That's much more in alignment with how I would use this, and this actually really makes me start thinking like maybe I should switch to this morph, and then instead of invisibility, if I still wanted to play that kind of evasive kind of play style, instead of invisibility, I could use the teleport shade ability, which in a lot of ways is even better than invisibility, right? Because it just gets you out of there. You just disappear completely. So you still have that option for that type of gameplay, and also have some crazy strong selfish healing going on there too.
I hope you're right about something there. I would love to see less cloaked Nightblades. I'm all for that.
Yeah, but if it means that more Nightblades are using the teleport shade, I don't know if that's good or bad thing.
It's a trade-off there. I don't know if that's better.
Because the thing is, it's a rule in all my PvP builds. I have counters to stealth, and if there's an invisible person, I can pull them out of stealth on almost all my builds. But there's nothing you can do about them teleporting away. They're just gone, and if they're clever about it, you have no idea where they even went.
Is there anything worse than, when you're like fighting on a ledge and somebody drops and you drop with them and they hit that ability and you're just like,
Yeah,
so
and there's
nothing you can do.
There's no right decision to make there. If you don't follow them, then they just keep running away and they're gone. They get away either way.
Yep. Either way, they're going to be safe. There's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Yep. So that's really the only kind of like combat ability change that's worth mentioning from week 3. They've adjusted some mythics further. So back to Belharz's band. They said in week 2 that they were going to do this, and then this is just them doing it. They reduced that light attack damage down to 900 instead of 1185 because they don't want that to be the thing that people use this set for, or that mythic item for. And then a Dark Convergence comes up again. They fixed an issue.
Get out of here.
Yeah, this is actually significant. We normally don't talk about fixes from PTS, but this is one that it is effectively a major nerf to this set.
Yeah.
They fixed an issue where it was pulling people from further than it was supposed to. So it already has a massive radius. It's like a 12-meter radius. Like, even if it's pulling you, even if it didn't have that bug, it's still way too big. But then on top of that, it was pulling you even if you're not even inside of that radius. And it does it almost every time.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, it was pulling me through like line of sight buildings and stuff. It was just a nightmare. It'll pull
you from like a ground floor up to an upper floor.
Yeah. It's just
all over the place.
It's a real mess. We played some BGs recently, and really, it's been awful. I mean, we've talked about how just frustrating Dark Convergence is, but we played the BG map where lava is in the BG map. It's
Yes.
the fact that we were playing. What was it? I think it was a necro.
Yeah, what they were doing is they were casting their pummeling Goliath ultimate in the lava, and then Dark Convergence would pull us into the lava with that Goliath thing going in the lava, and you're just guaranteed
There's
death.
nothing you can do. And it was so easy for them. I mean, it's one thing. A lot of people use that lava to their advantage in that map, and we talked about this. That's one thing, if you can strategically use it. But this set has made it so easy to just throw an AoE into the lava.
We're not even near the lava.
You don't have to be near. You just throw an AoE into the lava. Everybody's getting yanked into the lava and just collect your kill. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be like, hats off to you. You're getting those kills, buddy. You're winning the match. But man, it's so frustrating that low. That's all the effort it takes. Just cast an ultimate in this spot and you win.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they fixed that. And plus the radius is getting reduced in addition to them fixing this radius problem. And all the other nerfs that we've already mentioned. I really hope that it just is going to disappear completely. I think it will.
Let's hope. We can hope.
I feel like that's like the third or fourth time we've ranted about Dark Convergence in this podcast. But I mean, that's the state of PvP right now, though.
Yeah, if there's players out there in Battlegrounds, they get it. They get it.
I've thought about like what if I had a friend like at my house and they were like watching me play some BGs and they would see this Dark Convergence vortex all over the place. They'd probably think like, oh, that's like a major part of this game. That's like something integral to how this game works. And I'd be like, no, that's just some stupid set that didn't exist until recently.
Just give it a couple weeks. It'll be gone.
Yeah.
I got to give major kudos. They recognize, seemingly they're recognizing the issues. They're recognizing the frustration. And I think that, greener pastures are ahead of us.
It's hard for that to make me look past the fact that it made it into the game at all, but you're right. I mean, they are fixing it, so That's fine. And the thing is, though, like we talked about in the last episode, that fix is going to come alongside crit being given back to proc set, so I wonder if we're just going out of the pot and into the frying pan there,
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what that's like.
I think it's going to be an improvement. I think as long as the mobility issue, that's the real thing for me. I think I like high damage metas, so I think maybe it might be all right as long as I can control my character. That'd be nice.
It kind of makes me think that Malakath is really going to be, we might be seeing kind of the end of this Malakath thing. Malakath's been such a dominating PvP piece. I'm kind of thinking it's on its way out.
Yeah, and it's kind of already, like I was talking about earlier, like I took Malakath off of my MagCro, and sometimes it feels like I've actually gained damage as a result. Already. So yeah, I think Malakath is just going to be kind of an option, that you may or may not want to use, just depending.
Sure.
Anyway, that's all the PTS stuff. We're nearing the end here. Emails and shout-outs. No emails this week, but we do have a shout-out to Dr. Professor for typing !golden into the Discord so that we can all see what is going on the gold vendor this weekend. Thanks, Dr. Professor. Someone had to do it.
Professor.
Someone had to type !golden, and Dr. Professor was the one that did it. Thanks, dude.
There you go. That's what it's about.
That's all I could come up with shout-outs. There's not a lot else going on in the community lately.
I'm going to throw an old Grizzly Con shout-out, just for shout-out Grizzly Con.
Yeah, just for
him, he's being Grizzly Con right now. So
he's out there Grizzly Conning it up.
Grizzly Conning it up.
That's, people say that.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time I hear that.
We have a guild. It is the best named guild in the game. Our name is Stoon's Goons.
Stoon's Goons.
If you'd like to be in the best named guild in the game, let us know.
Well, very specific there. Among many other things, best named.
I like to be very specific.
You're very specific.
I'm not making any other claims about our guild.
You're like walking up to somebody that's like dressed nice, and you're like, I like your shoelaces. I just want you to know I really like your shoelaces. And then just walk
and then they start like saying, oh yeah, I got these shoes. No. I don't like the shoes actually at all.
No. I like these shoelaces.
Yeah.
Those are really nice shoelaces.
Best named guild in the game, Stoons Goons. If you'd like to be a member, you can email us at scrollandpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get you in there. Also, I guess I should have mentioned the email address when we were talking about emails and shout outs, but you can also just email us to say hello, ask us a question, make a suggestion about the show, ask us what our favorite breakfast cereal is, tell us a joke, say hello. I think I already said say hello. Really, whatever you want. Scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And I think that's the end of the podcast. Davius, anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, I'm going to nail the goodbye this time.
Here we go.
Okay, we're going to get out of here. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time. Comes a snap. 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
Okay.
Well, that was a little boom. I'm looking at the feedback. It was just a little baby boom.
It was a chill boom, but I mean,
chill.
It was there.
It was peaceful
for sure. I heard it. I feel like a serene pond.
Yeah, I call that a Bob Ross boom, if I will.
Okay, writing that down as a possible episode title.
Bob Ross boom.
Bob Ross boom.
The Bob Ross boom.
We'll see if it makes it.